Next up here on stage one, to talk about an event that has been very much admired by UK motorsport for many, many years. One of the most successful eco-events ever envisaged, raising real enthusiasm as well as millions for an incredible cause, outstripping those early dreams of what could be achieved and using the wonderful energies of off-road motorsport as the catalyst for a really inspiring project, the Rhino Charge. Here to share stories of this now iconic event, your host, Diana, with UK Charger, car number 9's driver, and hugely respected off-roader. It's the man behind the now famous company Gumtree 4x4, John Bowden. And joining him is Sandy Choda, whose family has taken part in the Rhino Charge event for many, many years. Diana.
Well, thanks ever so much, Gordon. That's absolutely brilliant. One of my favourite events ever of all time. And I remember going right back over the decades, promoting it at Land Rover shows back in the day. And it really was decades ahead of its time, this event. It really, really was, on so many levels. The ambition, the vision, the method for actually recognising a way to help. In a very, very difficult area, So, John Bowden, first of all, we'll come to Sandy very shortly, but John, take us back a little bit and take us to the roots and the thoughts behind the founding of the Charge and the ARC.
Right, well, the Charge in Kenya was set up by some 4x4 enthusiasts who wanted to make a little bit of difference and build a fairly short fence to keep the poachers away from the rhinos and other animals in the Aberdare National Park, which is the third biggest mountain range in Kenya, and also to keep the animals away from the local people, because if an elephant goes into your back garden, it'll take your year's maize crop for dinner. And that was done just because Kenyans, by and large, there's a great motorsport fraternity out there, things like the Safari Rally and so on, which are still going. And they thought, right, we'll have a 4x4 event, raise a bit of money, build 10 kilometres of fence. That was in 1988. The first charge was in 1989. And there's been a Rhino Charge in Kenya every year since, apart from 2020, when we all know COVID struck most motorsport and it had to be cancelled.
Yeah, the whole thing is to say, it's gone on leaps and bounds. That first vision, that first idea of what could be done has been blown wide apart. I mean, what's been achieved is extraordinary.
That's certainly true. We now have an event when there were, I think, 25 or 30 vehicles and raised about £10,000. We have an event which is normally oversubscribed with 65 teams as a maximum, and we raise about £1 million every year with one event over one weekend in the middle of the bush, in the middle of nowhere. If anybody wants to see a flavour of what it's like, we've got Sandy here's UK Rhino Charge car over there. We've got videos showing of the event, and we've got information on the conservation side of the charity. If any kids out there want to do a project on conservation but are interested in 4x4s, you can combine the two. We've probably got enough information there for you to cheat and write the project up off the sheets that we've got over there. So do come and say hello to either Kit Cabry, who's a fellow UK trustee for Rhino Arc, Sandy, or myself, or Derek, who's over there. We'd love to bore you rigid later on the subject.
I love it. Sandy, for you, you've done both. You've taken part over here and of course in Kenya as well. What first got you into it?
So my family have been competing in the Kenyan Rhino Charge for over 30 years. They've raised, I think, when we worked it out into pounds, it was £130,000 over the years for the Rhino Arc charity. And then the opportunity to take part in the UK, when John Bowden was running the UK Rhino Charge, I jumped at it. So we could also, do our bit for conservation in Kenya.
It's amazing. John, just hold up that, because this is from, some of you remember, we used to produce a newspaper called Off-Road Motorsport back in the day. And one of the events we always covered without fail was, of course, John Bowden, Gumtree 4x4, but more importantly, that event there, that's the 2000 Rhino Charge. It's decades this goes back. But the fundraising part is utterly crucial. That's the really, really important part, particularly because of the cancellations. What drives the team? Because the amounts raised are in the millions now. What drives the teams to actually get out there and raise those huge sums of money?
It's Kenya for us, we've grown up from there, we've come from there, and it's close to all our hearts because our family is still out there. So that connection with Kenya, and we want to save the environment, the water catchment areas, and like John said, the work that Rhino Arc are doing, it's second to none.
It is.
If I might, I describe it as one of the best kept secrets in conservation, because it's very difficult to describe what we do, even in the time which we very kindly got here, for which we're very grateful. And you say to somebody, you're running a 4x4 event to raise money for conservation, and especially in the UK, they think that you're a bunch of vandals and you shouldn't be doing it, but the whole event in Kenya is carbon neutral. Apart from an extreme 4x4, I don't know of another event that is carbon neutral, that is run to the same extent, to the same size and with the same number of people. And every year an audit is done to make sure that we're not damaging the areas that we use. And we put back all the camping fees for the weekend, which can be 30 or 40,000 pounds in themselves, go back to the community where the event is, for them to be monitored and to put it back into schools, dispensaries, hospitals, whatever they most need in that area. So it's very, very carefully run, and we've had an EU audit done about 10 years ago, and they gave us a clean bill of health as well. So it's a good 4x4 event that you can be proud of and say it's actually doing some good for the environment and the people of a country, without always holding a begging bowl out. What I should say is 90% of the money that's raised is raised in Kenya. It's not a question of rattling a tin here and then throwing it away to the dark continent. It's actually focused, and the people of Kenya support what's being done. We in the UK are a very small end of it. We're trying to make it bigger, simple as that.
We're really lucky to be embraced as part of it, I think, because I think it's an honour. It was the very first, I believe, the very first event ever in off-road motorsport that was totally based around ecology, the ecological side of it. Incredible. And here we are, like 3 decades later, and we have got Extreme E, absolutely right, doing an amazing job. We've got footage of them during the day as well. That'll be on sometime during the day. Thank you to Extreme E. But people are now catching on. This was decades ahead of its time, and I think that's what's most impressive. But with Extreme E now, and with Rhino Charge back then, coming all the way through to now, off-road motorsport, always been one of the most eco sports you can possibly do. We arrive, we do what we do, we go home and we take everything with us. We leave barely a marker if we do, get the ground sorted out. But there's very little to know that we've ever been there. And that's the key to it. And that's one thing I think with off-road motorsport, we don't brag about enough. We are incredible. But this event, it instills a feeling, a real atmosphere, the Rhino Charge. It's almost mystical event, isn't it? Maybe a little bit of fear, a bit of jeopardy, that's all mixed in there, isn't it? It's an incredible journey, an iconic event. It's all those words, legendary, mighty, the whole lot. It really encompasses, it's a superb event. For those who get the bug and think, I want to go and be a charger, or I want to be part of a charging team, you're here, you can tell them all about it. But there are people here as well who can't, but would like to help and chip in. So cover those 3 points. How can everybody get involved from every different side?
Okay, I'll start with the easy bit. If you want to chip in, we're over there, we're selling some polo shirts, we've got bits of memorabilia. We haven't got a retail forefront at the moment, but if you want to come and learn more, pop over and say hello. We'll give you a card. We're on Facebook, Instagram. We're trying to increase all of that now as well. So from a UK point of view, we want to get people on the mailing list. We want to run different events. We've got a corporate event coming up, all being well, at Goodwood, either this autumn or next spring. Fantastic. That's going to be a big event. But we want also to have small supporters, someone who'll buy a sticker, give us a donation. We've got a lovely coffee table book about the Rhino Charge, which Dave Lovejoy gave us a great review on the Off-Road Worldwide platform a while ago. That's something to have on your coffee table and look through when you've got nothing else to do and watch on television. So you can register your support here in the UK, and we will help divert your attention to what you're interested in. If somebody wants to come to Kenya, firstly, it's the most fantastic place to go to a holiday, but it's not a tuppence halfpenny holiday. There's different levels of doing it. We have camps for the spectators at the Rhino Charge. Every year, somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 people move into the bush for the weekend. There are spectator camps that you can rent a tent in, but it is catered really well. There's a bar there, and then, as Diana said, after the weekend, everything is cleared up. Everything that can be recycled is recycled. The crew spend a week tidying up afterwards. It's a bit like King of the Hammers in Africa, basically, if you've seen any of the King of the Hammers stuff. A village moves in, all the infrastructure. They bring in a telephone mast, and it's broadcast nationally in Kenya, and then afterwards it just disappears and it goes back to the bush. If you want to come out, you can spectate, as I say. If you're fit and you want to join a team as a runner, I should say that each team is made up of between 4 and 6 people. A driver, a navigator, and 2 to 4 runners. Because the whole premise of the event is that the vehicles are GPS tracked, and every inch that your vehicle moves goes against you. The winner has visited 13 checkpoints in 10 hours by travelling the shortest distance through the bush possible. If you don't get back to your start point, you're not classed as a finisher. So it's quite a tactical event. Navigation is key. Being able to winch yourself up a cliff rather than go round is important. And if you look at some of the pictures and some of the video that we've got on over there, you'll see that there's everything from Mad Max style vehicles on portal axles with twin giggle pin and red high-speed winches to a Series 1 Land Rover with an old capstan winch on it doing the event. And there's a modified and an unmodified class. Unmodified is loosely described. My 90 is classed as unmodified, just basically because we've got a slow winch and it's the same basic vehicle. I won't bore you with the rest of the scrutineering, but if you've got portal axles and a high-speed winch, you're in the modified class. So you can join the team as a runner. They'll want you to bring along some sponsorship, because even the start-up teams are raising about £3,000 worth of sponsorship each year. And some of the teams raise over £100,000 of sponsorship, that particular team. There's some people who take it to the nth degree, and it all goes back for conservation. It doesn't go into their pockets to prepare the vehicle. The preparation is completely separate from the sponsorship. If you really fancy an adventure, there's one vehicle which can be arranged with the right crew and the right sort of people to be hired to do the event. Or if you know somebody who's involved in shipping and you've got a vehicle here, you could ship a vehicle out from the UK. My 90 was flown out by BA World Cargo in the year 2000 and has lived in Kenya ever since, because it's there because I want to carry on doing the event. Bringing it back would obviously be an expense, which I don't want to do annually, so it lives in Kenya and it's now become a Kenyan registered vehicle. There's loads of ways that we can involve you if you're seriously interested. If you just want to come and talk about it and find out more, well, as I say, we're here to talk about it, but I think that's the levels answered at least, Diana.
Beautifully done as well, in one hit. Well done. That was incredible, actually. I'm going to come to Sandy as well, because what John's just saying there, he's got his vehicle out there. It's one thing getting out and going and doing an event. This could be the adventure of a lifetime. For somebody who thinks, I want to go and do that, I'm going to do it once. But what happens, especially for you and your family, you never do it once. It becomes an integral part of your life. And John, we've talked about this before. What is it? What is that drive that keeps you not just doing it once, but it becomes a part of your life? Every year, you know that's what you're going to be doing. What's the thing behind that? Why?
I think the Rhino Charge as a whole has always been a family event for us. And it's one of those where it's an annual gathering for our family on a personal level. So the friends and family that you do meet on the Rhino Charge always draw you back.
I think it's wonderful.
You make friends for life, basically. I've met people there. The first time I went out, I took 5 other Brits with me, none of whom had been to Africa apart from me, and I had to stop them taking photographs of buffalo when we'd run into a clearing and there was one bull buffalo on his own, and my team wanted to get out the Land Rover and take a photograph. I wanted to get in reverse and go the other way, because you don't want to meet one old bull buffalo on his own in the bush. and you're dealing with snakes in your camp and things like that, and some rather large creepy crawlies at times. So I've now, because of getting the friendship, I normally take 1 or 2 people out from the UK, family members and friends, but I've also got a core of Kenyan friends who look after my Land Rover for me. I go out there and it's virtually turnkey most years. I might have to take a few spares with me, and that's a real joy, I can tell you as well, because it gets quite a bashing every year.
It's not for the faint-hearted. It really is not for the faint-hearted. We can see from we'll call it patina, Sandy, on your vehicle, that they get a bruising, but it's perfect. Now look, John Bowden especially, thank you so much for always keeping us updated on the Rhino Charge. It's wonderful, and we will follow you forever. And Sandy Choda as well, especially for bringing a vehicle that's actually been part of it. Wonderful to see. Everybody can come over and see you. But to both of you and to the whole Rhino Charge, the whole Rhino Art crew, we have to thank you so much for bringing so much good, but also so much hope. And that's really, really key and really important. Thank you very much for sharing just a little bit of the atmosphere, a little bit of the story of the magnificent Rhino Charge.
And thank you very much, Diana, because the support you've given us for our off-road worldwide has actually got an audience in Kenya, it's got an audience in Australia and in America, because of the support you've given for Rhino Art, which hopefully gives something back to you. So many thanks for your support.
It just gives me joy. Thank you very, very much.